13.
13. Lucky. Recreation.
Comments?
Yes, sir.
I mean, my only comment is, the bottom line is to forecast the budget
Okay.
is basically 43 worse, but coincidentally, payroll forecast, gross payroll forecast to budget is 44. So
Yeah,
it looks like the entire whack is payroll to me. Actually, it is. How much of that? And it's not.
You'll notice we have an increase in camp counselors. It's one of the bigger ones.
7,000.
That was 44.
Payroll.
Net operating is 42, right? I think
Well,
loss.
forecast the budget. Bottom line is 42,764 worse.
Right.
If my calculator worked.
Budget to budget is 29,000.
Because of payroll,
Yep.
affordable care,
Nope.
Camp counselor.
camp counselors.
I mean, there's actually the cost of payroll may be down. Even with the increase. I haven't done that math, but I don't have to do the math. It's down. Cost of payroll is down.
Page 2. 4%. Cost.
Yeah, not base payroll, cost of payroll.
Gotcha.
Overtime, 2.
I have a question on line 346. Special events is listed at 75. On page 3, it's at 80,000.
That's the cost. If you look down the line, 665, that's your cost.
Special events at 80,000 down there. Okay.
That's the cost. The
The other
corresponding
revenue,
revenue is up. Is that
75 is revenue, 80 is the cost.
Right.
Thank you.
Make that up, Bobby.
When we get to page 4, this is my committee. So we went through this at the last week, 2 weeks ago. And the major things that they're concerned about is the flooring in the gym. We have a budget this year of $65,000. There's still a lot in the gym. I know you're aware. And we walked over. There's still bubbles all over. They fixed it, but they're popping back up. So maybe you can explain more what's going on with that.
Well, I'm confused. We did spend the money in last year.
It's been
I don't think
budgeted.
we fixed it.
What's that?
We didn't fix the floor.
No, we haven't replaced it. We budgeted to replace the floor for
Right.
65. We didn't replace it yet. What we're doing is we had, what's it, flooring plate. West OC flooring has come back and made incisions and reheated some of the glue areas. So that we're tracking that. In addition to, they're looking at some new glue, because what it is moisture coming up from the floor is causing the bubbling. So they're looking for a stronger adhesive. And what they're doing is either slitting or syringing to put the glue down. Instead, which last time we had them in, they did none of the big bubbles came back. The little ones are still popping. But it cost us $560 or something to do. So we're going to try that and track whether that's going to work or not before we look at replacing the entire floor for $65,000.
Well, according to what I understand from the report there, and I was in there, I saw there's probably 50 books
Correct.
marked down there. I mean, it's getting worse. And I walked it, and I could see how it would be a real problem for someone trying to play sports or it's a funny movement.
I play
to it.
sports in there, and it's not as big
Well,
a problem as they're
You're
making.
younger
And I
than
walk.
okay.
Well,
But it's a concern. It's not right.
understood. We're tracking it, trying to do repairs.
So they want to be
before
sure the gym is addressed. Now, I don't see a $65,000 number in this budget here.
It's in this budget
So-
right now.
Will it be addressed before the
We're
end?
trying-
If not, be a roll. That's what
I don't know yet. We're tracking it now. They already did the reheat and stick. It worked for a little bit, and they're coming back. So now we're trying new glue option. They're supposed to come back this week with see what other glues might work better, and then we're going to see that. If that doesn't work, then we're going to have to look at potentially replacing. We have it budgeted. Now, the other thing with that floor that's a concern, and again, it goes to concern with anything. Just because something's budgeted doesn't mean we spend money on it. Here's my rationale that I'm concerned with. That back door, when I say back door, when you come in from the lobby area, the back left door, okay, water still comes in that door, okay, during significant storms. And if you go out to the back, the building slopes over. As a matter of fact, Marty's walking with me. We're talking about putting some pits in and some. What's that?
You're answering my question.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'll tell you, we're not going to replace the floor until we get that water. We're going to have water back there as an issue, so we're kind of trying to. Miss Utility, and we had a number of other utility come out. There's a lot of utilities on that side. So the pit might, with the sump pump option, Marty gave that suggestion. We're going to look at that. So we're kind of looking at two things. A, patch it, not have to spend the money to replace the entire floor, and it works with new glue, we'll do it. If it doesn't work, we have a budget, we'll go for replacement. In the meantime, we still have to get that water solution so it doesn't roll in that back door. And then if we do replace the floor, we're going to have to do some sort of vapor barrier so we don't have a repeat of the same thing.
But it is on your radar screen. This is real important.
They were in last week,
Okay.
cut, paste, and so we're trying.
The other thing that they're very concerned about is the Wi-Fi, which I don't see on this budget for the community center building. A lot of activities are held there. A lot of need Wi-Fi.
Okay,
They
Wi-Fi.
haven't had it, so I don't.
Yeah, Wi-Fi ties into, and this came up 6 months ago. For the amount of Wi-Fi we need in that facility to meet all the activities, to include the big functions we do there, where you're going to have a lot of users on it, you need a larger system. The system actually trunks to our mainframe and out. So there's some concern there in capacity. We're going to have to spend a lot of money to put Wi-Fi in, and we're trying to figure out what's going to be the best solution. It's the 6 or I don't know what's in this year's budget. 10. The
It's
concern.
not in this year's budget.
Yeah, the concern was that large enough to get all the rooms. We have metal studs. We have a lot of things that interfere in that building. And then are we going to get the end user capacity that we ultimately need? That lies our problem right now.
I don't see it in this coming budget. So
We have 10 in right now. We're trying to figure out what our long-term solution is going to be, and it will be tied to the computer technology upgrade.
that was their number. That was their number one
I
request.
understand that.
The flooring they're concerned about, and the second thing, Wi-Fi, because it's really needed by all the groups
The
that are in
board,
there.
the board can direct me to Wi-Fi in. I'll do it. I have 10 grand. I'll do it. But I'm telling you, we're going to replace it later when we'll spend that money. I almost guarantee it. I'm trying to make sure I'm doing it in a meaningful way. Just because someone wants it today doesn't mean we automatically put it. We're trying to look at the different components. I can put it in for the 10 grand. I just think it's going to be underpowered for what our use in the facility is.
Can you give me an estimate when we can get back to this committee? Because it's a strong need.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to have get back to you.
All right.
A need
That's
and
fair.
desire are two different things. I mean,
Well, it's not a desire; it's a need. I mean, and there's so many different organizations that are in there that need Wi-Fi, and they haven't been able to satisfy things. So it's
How
not
far
just
are we
it'd be
away
nice.
from- What are we talking about as far as?
Tell them you got a 14.
I understand the difficulties you have. You have an IT upgrade that you're trying to put in place, state of the art, probably, and you put a system in there now. It becomes outdated in a short period of time because you've upgraded to an IT study. You're between, do I spend it now or wait and spend it when I can put the correct system in? Is that where you are?
that's correct. Now, again, I've talked to 3 different companies about the Wi-Fi solutions there. So, I mean, we can pull the trigger and put something in. Again, I try to treat it as if it's other people's money and don't just spend it because it's budgeted.
And that's admirable and correct. It's a concerned committee. I'm the liaison,
I
and I've been
understand.
requested that I come to this board and say they're really concerned. Gym floor and the IT, the Wi-Fi. There are 2 primary things they're concerned about that they don't see in the gym. So I just wanted to make that known.
My questions relate to Sharon is just addressing. Do you believe that the floor will be fixed fiscal year 14-15, or should we be moving it into this budget for 15-16?
My goal is to have it fixed this year, in the current year we're in. That's
So
the
this
goal.
study we're doing now shouldn't be almost over. And
No, one of the things, as an example, you may saw, we marked all the spots with tape on the floor. That was part of our strategy to map it out. You get it heated, rolled out, and then some pop up. Are they in the exact areas? Are they different areas? What's the size of them? I
like a
said, look,
decal.
yeah, we have to just track it to say, is this glue working or not working? You know?
Now the Wi-Fi. Is there a chance that the IT answer, which is way over my head, is going to happen in FY 14-15? And if it's not, should we put it 15-16?
So why,
You're saying that you don't want to spend the 10 that's in FY 14-15 this year, right now, because you might have another answer that's better. My question is the better answer to occur in FY 14-15 or 15-16?
right, two-part question. If I can expand the capacity for our internet connection, which we're working down separate paths right now. Okay, there are multiple paths we're working on when it comes to IT. The level of capacity we have into the admin building, which then serves the rec building, just the way it is, we're trying to expand that. Think of some of the events that we have over there.
The health fair.
Health fair is an example, the craft fair. Any of those type of events, you have a lot of people that are going to be trying to jump into the system.
Right?
We don't have the capacity to support at that level with what's there. So I'm trying to get a better feel of what the trunk capacity will be, trunk for lack of a better term, the feed to the internet. If I can get that opened up now and then put a larger router, Joe, that's right there, right? Router? I need the bandwidth is what I need.
Okay.
So the bandwidth is a separate issue for me right now, and I'm trying to get that resolved. If I can get that resolved now, which would help in some other areas, it's not the long-term solution, but it would then expand and allow me to go with a different type of router to give me the internet service I need.
So I guess my question is the same as his question is, do we need another 10,000 budget for next year?
I don't know yet, because if I can get the bandwidth resolved between now and April 30th, I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger because I'll have the bandwidth option resolved. I don't have that. I'm working on it. I'd love to say I can boom, do it, but I can't. It's not that easy. If it was your home one, or you just want one in here to operate 10 computers, I can do it. No issue. The
Right.
money carries it. But if you're looking at some of the power users, when you have a whole lot of people in the building, and the size of the building and the metal studs in the building, you're going to have a degradation in the actual signal and the pickup, everything else, and then all you're going to have is people angry.
I hate to spend this much time on such a little item.
It's fine.
How much more would it cost? Can you do it for 10 if we had bandwidth? Or do we even know? Here's what I'm trying to get to. If it's not in this budget, and I'm unlucky enough to be sitting here next year, it ain't going to happen. Okay? So, should it be in this budget, or are we going to get it done in this year?
You're talking about the IT.
I'm talking about this
You're just talking about
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi. Now you're talking about.
But there's also the option that this can be done. Lots of companies do it. You can grandfather the 10 grand from this year to be spent next year.
We've never done it.
I didn't say we'd ever done it, but there's lots of people who look at this stuff and say we collected the 10 grand in dues this year. Why not grandfather it if we're going to spend it?
Right here. Just, that was,
Okay,
if
I'm
that
just
was the
reporting
case,
from the committee.
we do not need
It's
to collect
important.
any dues this year because we still have $50 million to collect.
Well,
At least 50%.
To me,
What do we have? $4 million in the budget for 3 years running. So that's. I have to say, I think that argument. This is a 1-year budget. I would recommend, Bob, that if you don't think it's going to get done this year, both items.
Also, I'm not tech savvy, but I also understand that if people have 4G service, they don't need Wi-Fi. Is that correct?
No,
Yep.
what it is a lot of
You can't get a
It's the
signal.
metal.
Because of the metal, you can't get a signal.
Last time I was at one of their craft show things, people had where you swipe the card off the cell phone. They were going outside to swipe the cell phone because the metal blocks the signal. That's the issue with that. So it's,
Yeah,
as
same
Bob
issue
says,
in
there's
this
two
building.
issues. You've got the building itself, which doesn't lend itself, and then there's the whole capacity out of Ocean Pine.
So the real need for these, Sharon, help me out, is Tom just pointed out one, a point of sale system. They're actually
Some of it.
selling stuff.
Well, when a lot of the functions are there, the craft shows, the health shows, fairs and stuff like that, and there's several different ones here. They require able to access Wi-Fi to do their thing, to do their display, to do whatever, the home shows, whatever they're going to do, and there isn't access. And that's a real problem because these people come with a display expecting Wi-Fi, and there isn't. So it would certainly, it's not certainly want, it's a need.
But the next step on that is, have we had any of these that weren't sold out?
Do we have one?
Any of these shows over in the community center that weren't sold out? I mean, you couldn't have put another display in for
You're correct, you couldn't.
water that will make you live 25 years longer. You couldn't have done it
Can't
for
find room
healthcare.
for it. Right.
So you know what? Maybe it's time to go. We're there. When it starts to break down, we put it.
Well, it's like, well, we got the money in the budget, so we got to spend it now because we're not going to be in the budget next year.
I didn't. Nobody said that.
Well, you're talking about spending $10,000 this year? Is that what you're talking about?
No,
in-
that's
it's
what
in
the
this
budget
current
said
budget.
that
In
you
this
voted
current
for
budget,
last
you're
year.
talking about spending $10,000
You said it.
this year.
We're asking whether Bob can
You,
do it.
No,
you
I'm
voted.
not.
You
I'm
voted
not.
for the budget.
I'm trying to observe what the hell, where you're going, what you're doing.
I'm just trying to say that if it's not in the budget next year and I'm unlucky enough to be here, I'm not going to vote. Nobody could probably care about
So
that.
you're
but I'm-
forcing the guy to spend the money
I'm
this
not
year.
forcing anything, Jack. I would expect that he's not going to run over and oh my God, I'm not going to get it, so I'll put in anything. I have more respect for the GM than that.
Just text to get it installed. It's an ongoing issue, and we're trying to address it. Again,
Thank you. You answered my question.
I just have one other personal question. This is not committee. We have talked in the past about getting advertising for fencing, and I would hope that would be a possibility for revenue in this department. You know, if there's any place we've gone in this, is there any number of artists, revenue comes from sales of
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Because I think that's a real good opportunity that we're missing.
Well, I would pretty much up Parks and Recs.
You know, actually,
Well,
that's who sold all the banners at tennis.
Yeah, I just think that that's a real good thing. I think they're very interested in pursuing that. I will be glad to be the liaison back to them and say what this board wants them to do, pursue it or not. That I think that's a revenue possibility that we could bring, because we're always talking about recreation not bringing enough revenue. And by selling some advertising, now of course we've got to have it vetted so that they're selling the proper things.
That in there lies the problem.
Oh, I know.
That no, not to jump on
Yeah,
it, but that is where the problem comes in. That
Where
once
do you
you
say
start
what's acceptable,
opening
what's
the door and allowing people to buy space, what rules do you put in place?
Well, I
what are the
think there needs to be
policies?
parameters set.
Yeah. That's all I'm sharing.
And all that would have to do is either work rec department, I don't know, public works or public marketing. I don't know, whatever would be involved. But I think that's a source of revenue we don't have. We've talked about it in the past, we've not pursued it as a, and I think the Recreation Committee is very willing to do that. But they need guidance from this board and authority to do. This is what you want.
Advertising where?
You know, the ball field, the fences, Joe, or concerts in the park. I mean, we could this committee is willing to aggressively go out and solicit sponsorships for concerts in the park or for the fireworks or whatever we need to do. Bring some revenue in. But they feel they need authority from the board.
And all I'm putting on the table is if you're going to do that, you better have a policy already written which lays out who and what you are going to be willing to sell space to and not. Because you could end up selling space to people you don't want to have to sell space to.
And then is it exclusive? You sell to one
Exactly.
real estate agent, you not sell to another. You know, that kind of thing. Do you do that?
That's
I mean,
where
there's a lot of...
And
There's
they
a lot of
advertise
things.
your tattoo parlor, put it right there on
So, Dave, I'm going to put that back on your, as president, what you think should be done or not done, but it's something that they're willing to do, and it is not in this budget. I'm just thinking it's a possibility to bring in some revenue.
Well, I don't know what guidelines.
How much I don't know.
Possibly give them other than within the bounds of good taste, which is
Well, there'd have to be a contract prepared. I mean, there's lots of things.
your good taste or my good taste.
like.
Yeah.
Well, that's a much higher bar than mine.
No, you see what I'm saying? I mean, I don't think there's a way to spell out, get this and can't get that. You know? I mean, specifically, what are you trying to prevent from getting up? I mean, I can, give you extremes, but I don't know within reason. Just,
Been there, went through it. Just got to be careful.
Okay, well,
I'm not saying not do it, guys. I'm just,
No, I hear you.
just gotta be. Quite frankly, that isn't. If I can have, to me, that's a great idea if we can do that. The issue here is this one is another one where I think a calm sit down with the county to talk through the program. Well, I don't know.
Try before it.
Well, yeah, at some point, you have to recognize, and this is a broad statement, we're the Parks and Recs Department for the northern half of the county. We have the facility, we have the staff, and I've heard the argument that, yeah, but you choose to have those programs. Yeah, and many of our programs, as I understand it, 40% of the participants are not owners and members of Ocean Pines. So if 40% of your use is coming from people in the county, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. What I am saying, the argument that the county, if they want to throw forth an argument, says, oh, well, you chose to have that program. Yeah, and about 40% of the people using it are from you.
And I would say,
So,
thank you.
yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Bob,
Yes,
we
sir.
talk about this every year.
Okay.
We probably this week.
Okay.
The percentage of use by non-property owners of our recreational facilities. How can, I know I can do it. How can we get it done where it's accurate?
If you'll notice this year, just one of the things, we have a rec tracking software. It's something that we've been looking at. Again, it's part of the overall, but that we've narrowed it down to this particular item.
Things you're asking.
When someone signs up, you're able to put all the pertinence. We don't have a great tracking system right now. So we recognize that as something we have to do a better
It
job.
was an old-fashioned knucklehead. We used to call them sign-in sheets.
I understand.
I'm sorry, we're a recreation center. Your driver's license, please? Thank you
we do
very
that.
much, Mrs. How are things at Seacom?
Understood.
And you've got the information, bing, 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 and you're doing it. Yes, it requires some staff. Then the person gets a little badge.
But he's saying it's his software.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I would love to know
That's
that
good.
number.
I think it's a good requirement or request.
But, when you talk about county programs, do have a beautiful softball, tennis facilities right across the street. Paid for in your taxes and mine. Managed by the county.
What's an easy-go utility?
It's one that's easier to go than ones that are hard to go.
And they cost $4,000?
It's like a golf cart. Yeah.
Golf carts?
Trailer.
The hard to go is $3,900.
Good stuff.
Oh, okay.
Utility cart.
We can do wheelies in it.
You could.
Yeah. Get enough of us on the back, we can just raise that.
That's
puppy
right.
around.
And by the way, their Christmas things have just been so successful.
Well, this whole department's
Yeah.
successful. I mean, they really are. I mean, they really do a good job, and I rarely hear complaints.
When you're selling
About the
hugs and lugs for free, it
Yeah,
ain't hard.
It ain't hard to
do
get
it right.
Yeah. Well, it's not free.
It's not.
No.
Well,
A lot of it's. This isn't a
let
profit
me
center.
tell you what it is.
This
It's
isn't
minus $500,000.
This isn't a profit center. Suppose, right?
No, but there's
This
parts of
isn't-
it that should be. We shouldn't be renting a bus to go to New York. They ain't making money.
But it is.
But it is making money.
It's just what I'm saying. It's fine.
But it is. That's the
But they're
issue.
making enough to offset the $500,000 with this thing, which is up $100,000 in 5 years.
119 net operating.
I love the back control. Yes, take care of all those bags.
Okay. So we have put the one action item is to, yes, we have to talk about that. I don't have to let me know what his concerns are, like picture, what kind of restrictions and so forth. But I would encourage the authorize with guidelines, Parks and Rec Committee to go out.
I'll
and
be
get
glad to meet with you, maybe Tom, the three of us sit down
Yeah.
and talk about some
Yeah.
of the things if you'd like to do that.
We also, please understand, if the committee's going to run with it, I need to know staff impact, size of the signs, who's attaching them, who's taking them down,
That's
who's
kind of,
changing
yes,
them, what's going to be on the site. It's more than just a group saying, let's go
Absolutely.
advertise. Are
absolutely.
they going to be in charge of putting them up? Are they going to be in charge of ordering them? Are we ordering them? I mean, those details need to be ironed out.
Then I think we need more people.
Sure.
So advertising.
Yeah. No, Bob, I think you're absolutely correct. And there has to be a contract. It's got to be, it's got to all be done legally. Run by. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's a lot.
It's just a suggestion for more revenue. That's all.
How about we sell ice cream at the parks? Oh no, right there at the camp,
With a truck.
right at the playground. I'm not against that.
You're the entertainer.
Okay. Oh, we're through with Parks and Recs.
Well, before we jump off into the Capitol a minute, is this where the bathrooms are?
Yeah.
White Horse Park restroom. Do we have any prices to make the ones you have nice again? It ain't going to be $145.
Understood.
Can we get a price? I mean, if I was going to take care of it, I'd call three plumbers at the price. tile, toilet, new sinks.
New roof on the building.
No new roof on the building. It's gonna need a new roof on the building. Maybe knock it down, new roof.
I mean, that's why we just had replacement in there. If we decided we want to go in
When
different
these
directions.
restrooms are the whole building, you're gonna
You
do
see
a
the
whole
picture?
new.
Look at the sheet in there.
Does that mean Pioneer Crafts?
Oh, no, that's where I'm going.
I know.
You're not replacing Heinz Crafter building. That's the roof you're talking about?
If you're renovating that building, then yes.
I didn't say renovate that building. Renovate those bathrooms.
Okay.
If you're gonna renovate that building, I would recommend a bulldozer.
I knew you would. That was my point.
That's exactly what it says on the write-up. Wood is rotting.
Yeah, that's what I read. I read it too. I said, well, why don't we replace the whole?
I don't know what you're
Said
saying.
it
Yeah, but
was
that's
toilets.
not the building at 145. That's the bathroom.
Yeah, I
You
know.
still gotta deal with the rotten building.
Right.
You haven't, so don't think you've skipped that step, right?
That's what you said.
Yes.
Let me answer.
Go ahead.
145 is a replacement building.
That's a
Replace the
whole
building.
building.
Bathroom.
Bathroom,
Look at the
no
bathroom.
Heinz Crafters. Where are you gonna put
Separate
them?
issue. Look, under
Umbrellas? I don't see it in the budget. You have it?
I have no desire, nothing in budget, no intention of pulling craft club in or out. I recognize we need bathrooms to support the activities in that area. So therefore, we have a structure of a bathroom. There's an actual design of it with the cost estimates that go along with it. That's it. That's all I'm addressing is bathrooms. I'm not doing any of the political, Pine Craft Club, not. It's not what I'm addressing.
I got you.
Public restrooms for all the folks that use that area. That's it.
Last year, this came up last year, and here's the conversation. Well, you got to go to the bathroom. It had to do with the deteriorating old bathrooms in the craft shop.
Which haven't gotten any better.
It's haven't gotten any, they've only got one. And the conversation went like this. Well, we got the administration building. That's okay. Yeah. Closed on weekends, we have other kinds of festivities or fairs or something of that nature. In the park, well, the community center is open, so they can go across the parking lot to the community center. So it was, I thought, a contentious issue. Now it is, it's not a contentious issue anymore. It's okay. Is that where you're coming from, Marty?
No, I'm not going to vote for it. I don't know I'm still not clear on what we're doing. Why would we build new bathrooms? Why wouldn't we renovate the ones we got? Oh, the building's falling down. Okay, what are we going to do with the building? I don't like this camel's nose under the tent approach. We'll get this out of the way and then we'll deal with the other. Let's deal with the problem. The problem is we have a building in the middle of the parking lot that has not been maintained. It's old and it's starting to fall apart. We can fix that entire building. Roof, siding, bathrooms, less than $145,000.
The existing.
Yes. There's nothing structurally wrong with it.
Do you know that?
Do I know that? No, I don't know that. Is there anything structurally wrong with it?
I
Oh, let's have a reserve study and find out. There was nothing structurally wrong
I
with it.
just asked Marty. I thought maybe you knew something.
Well,
You said there was. You made a statement.
There was nothing structurally wrong with the last yacht club. We tore it down because we wanted a
Now
new
let's
one.
stay sort of on
Uh,
point.
I'm on
the,
point. Let's find out. Let's have a reserve study. They will tell us. What did they say in 2008? They said, repair the siding. That's what they said. We haven't touched it.
We need,
I'm saying
Have
for
we had-
$145,000, we fix the whole problem.
do we know the status of that? Bob,
We have not had a structural engineer give us the status of the building.
okay, so we don't, so before we do anything substantial, like, I still can't quite figure out how you're going to fix the restrooms without doing anything else.
I agree.
You can't. You got to address the
But-
building.
But certainly you would do something, I mean, of that magnitude without finding out what the status of the building is. I think, Bill.
A big part of the conversation last year was plain public safety. People come from the park, crossing over with all the Buicks coming by, going either way, you know, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's a safety issue. Yeah, I mean, if people their kids are coming out between the cars, trying to go over there to the bathroom. That was my main focus, and we discussed that a lot. That right there in the middle of that thing is, I think it's dangerous, and you know, these are going to be on the same side as the park, and you know, it's just that's the way I think. Every time I drive through there, I slow down because I look at kids darting between, you know, coming
It's a
back.
dangerous area, right?
And I don't think it won't change much moving the bathrooms. I mean, the kids are still going back and forth to the camp, this, that.
And you also have a pine crafts issue, which is always.
Yeah.
That's the issue everybody's trying to avoid. I think it's referred to as a third rail.
Then it's hot. I agree with Marty. Why couldn't we repair the whole damn thing for $145,000? Why couldn't you tear it down and build it? Why clean up 2 bathrooms and leave the old structure around it on either side? It doesn't make any sense to
And
me.
the question is, are the ladies in the Pines Crappers now going to walk across the road, go over to this bathroom? No, of course not.
Where's it's not in this location.
No. It's over in the park somewhere. Wait a minute, I'll answer your question. We don't know where it's going to be.
Oh, I'm
Somewhere.
sorry, I misunderstood. I thought it was the same.
Nope.
I don't say.
No.
Well, I would say, Bob, that
You
this
need
is
more
certainly
information.
sufficiently unclear to everybody to require that, you know, before we go anywhere on this capital request, we get a clarification.
What was in last year's?
And clarification, and if necessary, put it off until we. I mean, if it involves doing something structurally to the existing building, it seems like it will.
When you say structurally,
I mean, tearing it down or
because putting a new roof and siding is not structural.
yeah.
That's what you budget for in capital reserves.
Yeah, but you're not going to do that, Marty, unless you know whether the structure is sound.
Yeah, it was sound in 2008. We probably spent $40 on maintenance since 2008. It's probably worse.
Probably worse. So, I mean,
I think
if you're going to do something with the building, you have to do it engineering.
what I'd like to
Reserve study. That's what they will do. And they won't take into consideration what we really want is a new Pines Crafters building and a new bathroom for the kids where they won't bother the kids.
Fence, I've seen. Yeah, maybe call it.
Are you going on vacation soon?
It's an engineering study. I mean, one way or another, call it a reserve study or whatever. People, engineers look at the bill and say it's structurally sound.
we just add this to the follow-up list to just
Yes.
get more information on where this building would actually be built. Because of, Bill, your comment was, where is it physically going to be right back where it is? Because there's an assumption that, it's let's figure out what the problem is first and foremost. And if it's a safety issue, then you can't build it where it is. If it's not a safety issue, if it's an upgrade issue, well then, can the building be upgraded? Well, until somebody looks at the building, we won't know. Let's just get some more information on this thing. And by the way, let's not ignore the elephant in the room. Pines and Crafts Group, come on, guys. We can't ignore that. That's part of this decision.
Why I bring it up?
I know. And I'm helping keep it up.
Yeah, I said the same.
The three of us are all saying the same thing. Let's solve the whole issue.
It's one thing if we're going to fix a facility that needs to be fixed.
That's
It's not
different.
gonna make-
That's different.
Then we're talking a whole new ballgame. We're talking about spending a couple of $100,000 to build basically a storefront for a volunteer. Next tab.
Next. Anybody else? No? Next tab.
tennis tab.
So that's pretty good.
Any comments?
I have so much. Yeah, that's all I did. Did you have a comment? Well,
What's the
it's impossible to go back past 15.
problem?
Well, and I had it, and I didn't put it in.
Yeah.
It's just impossible.
What happened to the data that goes back?
Because it changed. It became brackets last year. Now we've got this black pickleball. But for some reason, I tell you why it changed. Bob could tell better than I could, but I mean, I think it was because we took one of the sports out of recreation.
We separate the three so we
Yeah.
can track it better instead of lumping all into one. A lot of the conversation, well, how many of this do we have? What are we using for that? We said, well, let's separate the three and track it independently so we know. That was the whole reason, just for more transparency for each of the different
But
activities.
we can't see what they do.
You can't go back.
You can't go back to 14.
It wasn't-
I can because I
I
have
just
the
didn't
book.
put
They
the
weren't
prior
separated out.
years in.
Black
before.
tennis.
You can go back in history, have at least three back together.
Yeah.
Well, the point is that you gotta have a benchmark somewhere. I mean, we could just
I'm not
do the
arguing.
16 budget and say, hey, we're doing great this
I'm
year.
not
We're only
arguing
going to
with
lose a million.
I'm just saying, that you take tennis, platform, and pickle, add the three back together, you've got the equivalent per se of what was there before.
Prior to 2015.
Because at one point there wasn't any platform tennis, and at one point there wasn't any pickle.
Now, there was platform.
Was the platform created at the same time as tennis?
No, but it was
Well, at
in,
one
it's
point
been
there
in
wasn't.
Parks and Rec.
A long time. I mean, yeah, exactly.
Actually, where was the first platform tennis court? Right outside the door.
Oh, was it really?
Mhm. Right where the parking is now when you first come in, wasn't it? Yes, it was right there.
All I can tell you is that the decision was made to separate the three because we wanted to track all three of them and have a definitive. I remember that day we made that decision to do that as a board. It was either last year or the year before.
There's just a lot of discussion about by separating it, we can track the three elements independently. We're smarter with the decisions.
I don't mind separating it, but I still don't see why you can't progress.
There was no way to do it.
Well, because you can add them
They were
all,
all lumped together.
That's what I said. You can add them if you want to. You can add all three back together.
but I have to go to prior
Actually, yeah.
years.
Well, again, we've also gone from one-page rackets to 3 tabs.
Right.
And it's okay. I guess my question is, proposed budget is to lose $2,420, which is a pretty big swing off of last year's budget. What happened? Last year we budgeted $7,266 net operating deposit. This year we're budgeting basically 10,000 less.
Where are you now?
Tennis,
Tennis page 1.
tennis, page 1.
Tennis page one,
15
the bottom
budget,
line.
Remember,
7266.
biggest thing, Mark, okay, we have $10,000 swing in membership dues. Memberships are just down. Go with the forecast, which is second column from
I
budget.
see that,
So
56.
we went off the forecast. We thought that was a more realistic number than the budget based on where we are right
This is-
now.
Oh, this, yeah. This was the budget for membership, this is the estimated actual. Probably is going to be actual. $10,000 delta for membership, which they've taken, as I can see it, they've taken about half of that and applied it for next year's budget.
Correct. It was more realistic to use the forecast, which we believe is going to be closer to actual than budget, and that's where the difference is.
Now, a second ago, you said that this 7266 was now down to $10,000 swing as a membership. But then I look at membership history. It looks to me, that's the total. Again, you don't have to.
Well, I was just pointing at this year, Marty, page 1, line item 350, membership dues, 1643 is what budget, 41,231 is what forecast actual is.
Mhm.
And then you started, I mean, that's where the biggest difference came in.
It is. I'm just trying to understand why.
Well, as the liaison to that committee, part of it is there's a lot of folks who have migrated from tennis to platform.
So
They've
that's-
migrated away from membership.
That would be great if platform and pickle were coming off the Richter scale,
I
but
didn't
they're
say
going
they
down too. I mean,
That.
the entire racket sports is on a slide. Here we go. 15 at 169 members. Is that actually versus 177?
How would you say they're going down? Black tennis, the member dues is going.
Dues are going up. You're telling me revenues went up?
Well,
I got bad news for you. They're $22,000 off a budget. $20,000.
I'm looking at this projected this year.
I don't want to talk projected.
And
I gotta-
the
I'm gonna
dues
look
is
at
less than $1,000 to forecast for the budget. It's not a significant number, Marty. 350. Look at.
I got you.
350.
I'm with
The
you.
budget is 17,895. Forecast is 16,500.
Sharon, you're trying to tell me how to make a Rolex. I want to know what time it is. Bottom line, 18,785 is budget. 2,249 is what we did. Is what we're projecting or what we're going to do.
You
for
were
budget.
just talking about revenue. I was just talking about revenue.
Revenues were off 20 grand. Top line. Revenue, total revenue, 42,895.
Because of
Forecast,
the grant money.
22,640.
Because of grant money.
Grant money.
It's
Instead of
15
it-
grand is grant money.
Dear God, that's a bit unfair. Your
Should.
15 budget was 42,8. Your forecast is 22,6.
Yeah,
We were
and they had-
anticipating
That's
more
not
grant.
a good path.
Didn't say it was. You can't ignore the grant line. The budget was an anticipated 15 grand, and they got 5. Instead of getting 15 grand, that's a $10,000 swing.
I remember once
Okay.
budgeting 40 house sales and getting 1. You know, it's bad news.
Wow.
But I hear people go, "Oh, it's on the rise." It's not on the rise; it's nosediving. It's 50%
I'm sorry,
off.
Marty. I disagree. I don't think this is on the
So do I.
dot.
Here, look, 50% off. Do the math.
Marty, grant is 10,000 of it right there.
I don't
All
know
right,
what
now
a
will you
grant-
let me finish, please?
Sure, go ahead. I'll listen to the same thing.
Go ahead. The grant is 10,000 of it. There was indications we were going to be getting a $15,000 grant. Didn't come through at 15. Came through at 5. Now the committee's been working hard to do that. If there's one sport that's increasing in use throughout the country, not just here, it's pickleball, and it's pickleball is the number one thing. We need to have activities for all different kinds of people. If people like to do that, that's great. They want to play golf, that's great. They want to swim, that's great. They want to walk the parks, that's fine. I think this committee is going to be doing a whole lot better. It's a very dedicated, and they're working really hard to make this successful.
I'm not picking on the committee.
well,
I'm
you-
picking on us. We can't budget ridiculous
You're
numbers.
really not.
I don't think we are. These numbers.
Well, the budget certainly is questionable. But
What the budget's down.
look at the budget. Budget is total revenue 42,000, and 10,000 of that, or 15,000 is grant. And then you have special events, and so if you look at the income that you can project, you know you're going to get, it's the member dues. which is a little bit down, just a little bit down. So the big loss. So your total revenue, you projected as a budget 42,800, and we got 22,000. Say, hey, wow, well, that's because we didn't get the grant money, because we didn't get the special events. All right, now what's the impact? The impact, if you go down to net operating, is we were supposed to have a net operating budget of $18,785. That was to the good. That was how much money we're going to get. We're going to sell shares in tennis. I mean, come on, that's big income. So we don't get big income, we get small income.
It's still positive.
But it's still positive. It doesn't matter. I mean, that's just a wash, Marty. I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If I projected that, we were going to get a $500,000 grant and we didn't get it, but I wasn't planning to spend it anywhere, it wouldn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I'm just saying that we can't sit at the table and tell me that it is getting better. Our membership in tennis since 2010 is off 36%.
No argument.
You guys, this isn't a big rah, rah, rah.
But
No one is. Marty, tell me the person who is telling you
Sharon just
tennis
said
is
that
gonna
tennis
grow.
was a
Same racket
racket
Racket.
sport.
They're not.
sports.
Let's go to the next one.
It doesn't matter. I mean, the fact
It
of the
does
matter
matter.
is,
I'm tired of calling a turd a rose. It's not a rose.
there is a general increase in platform tennis and pickleball. I mean, now, whether that's national or not, I don't like to even think about it. Because it's my experience, even if it is national. But
I would
But the
say
fact
at
is
best
that-
your platform tennis is flat.
we're holding, well, you know what? Flat's good.
Well, you know what?
I'll take flat.
Flat is good, and you also, if you talk to the people that play that sport, there are times they want to play, they show up. If there are no courts available, you can't sell memberships to courts that don't exist. And there are
How
people
many-
every Marty, I'm going to finish my point. There are people every day who show up at our, not every day, but almost every day, to our platform courts. They're full. There's people waiting to play. And they turn around and drive home. Those folks are not going to buy memberships. We have in the budget to build 2 more courts. Part of the
No.
reasoning that not in this budget, this year's budget, we have built 2 courts for a platform because of that. If you own a business and there's 50 people unable to get in your door every day, do you say I'm not going to expand my business because my revenue hasn't gone up? No, you got 50 people out there that can't get in your door. You might add an extension to your building
I would
to get people in.
I'll vote for. I'm
Okay.
all in favor. And you've heard me for 6 months. 2 platform tests.
Okay.
They're not in this budget. Are we going to have them built by FY 14-15?
We have 2 in the current budget, right? And we have
That's my question. Will they be built 14?
we have 4 pickleball in this one. However, the board still has to decide which direction, based on the master plan, you want to go. Whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to build.
Let's figure out what the argument is that we're talking about.
Thank you.
I mean,
Excellent.
I want to know what that is.
That is an excellent
I want to
idea.
know what the argument is.
What are we arguing over?
I mean, not whether or not this is expanded or that's expanded, whatever, or we misbudgeted because we didn't get a grant. Fact of the matter is that we have a bottom line, at least for platform tennis and so forth, that's positive or neutral, and we have a bottom line in tennis, which is unfortunately negative. And we're projecting, but it's a pretty darn small amount of money, too.
Right.
So.
And you got a positive in pickleball too.
I mean, if the argument we're going to have is about what we're going to build, we have to have that.
That's a different argument.
Correct.
Boy, we're going to build.
Now, the budget obviously is not going to be approved today. And I'm not being smug about it. It's not.
Yeah.
We're on Thursday. My intent is to have some updated numbers for you all for the Mangrove Meadows entire project. We're kind of putting all this together now. Actually, I may have them as I have it almost finished, and when we're done here, I'll get it wrapped up. So you may have it tonight. You'll definitely have it by tomorrow, which will give you all the hard costs, so we can decide how we need to move this around a little bit.
Question to you. In your mind, right now, do you believe we're going to build 2 platform tennis courts, 4 pickleball courts in FY 14-15, where they're in the budget?
Honest answer, Marty?
Yeah, that's what
I don't have any idea yet. After you all look on Thursday, I'll have a much better idea what the board wants to do.
Are these 4 pickleball courts, this 16 budget,
Yes, sir.
in addition to the 4?
Yes.
They are.
In addition,
So there'd be 8.
yes.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, pickle or plant? You said pickle,
You
right?
said
Yeah,
pickle.
because we,
He's right.
right
I
now
remember
we're
when
trying
we
to
did
do
talk
all
about
8.
8 pickleball
That's
courts.
correct.
So we have this budget and this budget contemplate 8 pickleball in 2000.
Correct. And again, that's a moving target because we don't know yet.
Okay.
I think there's also a platform next.
No.
And there's
That's
no
what's-
more. Just the 2.
Yeah, when I break it down, and you'll have it for Thursday's board meeting, you'll see the breakdown. We already did the proposed site plan. The board said, yeah, take the next step with that. Let's see where we're at. So we've been costing everything out. And I'm going to give that to you so then we can make an educated decision of what the next step's going to be, which will impact this budget and impact the current budget year we're in, as whether we spend any of the 135 that's currently budgeted and what it will go to. We're going to make, the board will make that decision. Then we'll know better what needs to go in the 2015-16.
The net of this operationally, putting all 3 together, ends up being a whopping $3,000 plus.
Right. That's what I figured.
We just spent 25 minutes on $3,000 of operational issue. I mean, it's a capital issue.
Yeah.
It's not an operational issue.
It is a cap. Okay, aquatics.
You're swimming upstream on this one, Jan.
I just want to be sure that my covers are in here, which we talked about. Because we should have 2 pools that have been done. Mumford's pool and
Sharon, we actually, you had said that, but we don't have it in here at this point.
Not there.
We're working on that now. We have obviously some challenges with the Mumford's pool, and we're going to address that at the board meeting this week as well.
thank you.
We reckon a new pool, one of the commitments we made, a new pool, we're going to make sure we put cover, much like we did Mumford. Or, I'm sorry, Yacht Club.
Yeah. I just didn't see it. That's why
Yeah.
we had that conversation. I'm sure that it's there.
Yes.
Now, wait a minute, is it a pool cover for a new pool or a pool cover for one we just major refurbished?
Well, when
Well,
we do the major refurbishing, it's like new because
makes
it's
it
got
a
the
new-
diamond bright
okay. All right,
finish.
yeah,
And the
right,
diamond
okay.
bright finish
Got it.
requires the cover on it.
It's not a complete,
It's not torn out brand
you
new.
spent a lot of money on it, you're going to put a cover
Correct.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Yeah, the coverage.
And it
in
protects
this
the
story.
finish if you don't have a covered finish.
I agree. I'm in favor of that.
Yeah.
Marty, do you have a question?
Well,
More than one?
at the risk of being stoned to death, I found the previous year's tennis budget.
Tenths.
Just for a minute. We're budgeting for tennis this year.
We're back to tennis.
Just listen to me a minute, please. $2,400 loss. For the record, the average for the last 5 years has been 10 grand a year. So I don't know where this comes from. That's my question. That was my purpose, the whole thing. We're not talking about $3,000. No, we're not. Tennis is going to, unless there's a miracle, and the average age of our tennis group, they find that glass of water for sale at the health thing, we're in trouble. Okay, aquatics.
All right. Any questions on aquatics?
Oh. One of my written questions.
Yes.
About the sale of the food?
Well, that's one of them, but my first one was going to be, we got a sizable increase in payrolls, 12%.
Yes. We have multiple things happening in here when it comes to payroll. This is one area where this is one of the two areas where we've added one full-time person, and the combination of that full-time person, in addition to the use of the benefits by an existing person now, which we didn't have the use of the benefits before, and the new full-time person is why it went up by that total amount. They were the two biggest factors. So one new employee with benefits, one existing employee that's now using benefits has that impact over this current year. The majority of the impact. Now, the new employee here, the reason we felt it was reasonable, we're seeing a much greater degree in our swim classes, programming and the actual instructional side, and that's where the full-time employee would be. If you recall, for a number of years we did third-party contract for those, and now that we're doing our own, we're realizing a better bottom line because we're controlling our costs and we're able to control our obviously our staffing cost with it as well. We're not letting all the money go out the door.
Very good.
This one's been.
Yeah,
I've been
taking
pleased
time.
with this.
Takes some time. Got a good staff.
Help me out with this medical thing. It's up $30,000.
Again, 2 employees now using full medical coverage, but when we had none this current year was the big. Plus, so you have the new employee,
Right.
full family coverage.
Good.
The existing, which now has family coverage. Neither of those were being utilized last year.
But, and I hate to, but how many people did we have? How many people in families were we covering for $8,778? One person
Without family coverage.
yes, without family coverage.
Correct.
That answers my question. Thank you. That
And I
answers.
guess
Now
the
that
big
makes sense.
change, which is good food, is the beach club parking being left here.
Yes.
And I think that because there's just absolutely no way for her to show any revenue.
Well, it's a
There wasn't. Now
most
there is.
highly utilized pool
Yeah.
from people, with no revenue generating.
So it's a good accounting change. And I think
It's purely accounting. I mean, there's nowhere else plussing up or the down's going to be a little bit on the beach club park, but the applicable application here, and we could have gone higher. We took a conservative approach with the application of the dollars.
Okay, just for the record again. Our revenues since 2010 have increased 193,792. For whatever reason. Better marketing, better facilities, swim classes. Payroll's gone up. Excuse me. Payroll's gone up 193,792. Retail sales have gone up 123,000. So we've increased revenues 123,000 and payroll 193,000. So we're basically losing 60,000 more in that ratio since 2000. Wow.
Oh, wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Look at the bottom line of what in 2010 and 2016 by staff.
Oh yeah, that's good. Now take out the
Less.
$40,000 you stole from the beach club.
Wait a minute.
All right, let's
Talking
talk a
about
couple
people.
things.
Well, you didn't have the beach
All
club
right.
money in here.
Calm down. I'm sitting next to you. Okay?
Apples and apples, please.
Okay, apples and apples. So let's start with when you're comparing 2010 to 2016.
Right.
It's an unfair comparison for a couple of reasons. First, in the 2010, I believe 11 and 12 as well, we had a contract to maintain another pool that's come out of it. There's some differential there. Okay.
Yeah, I had that to halfway 14.
Yeah, somewhere 13, 14 when it changed. There's some differences along.
It's not,
I understand, but when you try to do a 6-year comparison like that without understanding all the components, and I would argue with you, and you say we're stealing from the beach club. I think we're, and the BNF, to include the accountants in the room, agreed, reallocating those resources against the pool made sense for track purposes. The bottom line for the association doesn't change. We're allocating them to the area. That pool has no revenue generation, yet it has over 20,000 users.
And I don't have a problem. I'm just saying that if you're going to compare apples, if you're going to compare where you are and where you're going, you got to add that 40 back in here. So, because you didn't have, or you got to take 40 away from 2010 and every year prior.
Fair enough.
We're sitting here saying,
or go the other way, Marty.
yeah, I mean, we're sitting here
Go the
saying
other way.
that it's, you know,
You can restate the numbers.
you can do whatever you want with
Yeah,
the
we just
numbers.
restate
I'm
the
just
numbers.
trying to make it flatline so I
I
can
understand.
read it,
Just
so I
restate
can
the numbers.
graph it. And the graph ain't pretty.
Well, not if you restate the numbers. Did you make? Is everybody clear on the 4 parking spaces passes or 4 passes
Yeah.
per parking space?
Mhm. Been that way for time. May I go to capital?
No, not yet.
Okay.
On line 623, gas, propane gas, doesn't look like recognized any savings or planning putting
What?
it at that.
No, good. Look, there, for whatever reason, budget last year, okay, we've already passed the budgeted number constructed last year at that 65. If you look at the prior year at 96 actual, this one's split. Art and I were talking about, we think we just missed it when it was budgeted last year. It should have been considerably higher. I mean, if you're looking at the previous year at 96. Now, we are realizing we'll be off, and you all, I've mentioned it every time we get our controller's report, our utility costs have been higher. Now, this month we're hoping with new tanks in that we'll get leveled off, but our utility costs have been running higher than against the budgeted number. We just didn't budget enough for the propane last year.
So you didn't budget the forecast for this year.
It's about 30.
Is all.
You're saying the forecast is off.
The forecast is all.
It's going to be more than 65.
Yes. Again, we caught that through this budget process. We're looking at this going, where did we miss? And we realized we just missed the number.
Well, if that's the case, let's round it up and say it's $100,000. And it appears if everything remains stable, we're talking about $50,000, 40. Shouldn't that be the budget rather than 60?
No, 40,000 difference, 100 to 60.
No, that's your budget. What I'm saying is, 100,000 is an actual number. Is that correct?
No.
Ballpark. Yeah.
Okay.
Give me $4,000. It's an actual number. All right.
Okay.
Unless I miss my guess, what you're paying for propane today is 50% less what you paid for when we generated $100,000 worth of expense.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
So shouldn't our budget be somewhere in the neighborhood of $50,000, $40,000? Like,
Yeah, we actually thought about it, but we don't know that propane cost will remain low through this time next year. So we edged up just a little bit to make sure we're not missing the budget like we did this year. Yes, we're seeing a 50% reduction right now.
$10,000.
40% reason.
Again, I as big a miss as we had this year on it, we're trying to correct it next year so we don't have that miss in that one line item.
There's a lot of people playing fuel features.
There is.
You're doing way better.
Yeah, you are.
We're trying to be conservative with it. If it comes in better, Jack, that's a plus. I mean, we're certainly, if we can get it cheaper.
This is another one of those departments that I just asked the question. If there is nothing of major impact of a change that we can make operationally, and I'm not suggesting there are. If they're not, it is what it is. I mean, that's where we are.
Said this.
You know, I said, unless you can change it.
We're making improvements.
Yeah, that's all I'm looking for.
Here's what I'll tell you.
Like Jack says, 10 grand is like, well, okay, I agree with you. Where is the big impact, if there is one, that can be made on aquatics to lower the expense, raise the revenues, or whatever?
We're trying every day, as an example, okay, something that'll be reflected in the January numbers. We had 2 days this month, and if you compared it to previous years, we had the Monday that kids were off, last Monday, we did a Facebook posting, knocked $1 off on the price, or I think it was $1 off for each. And we ended up making approximately $850 in that we don't believe we would have made. We may have made 100 or two.
Right.
We had other events such as Saturday, the Dive-In Movie, which we just started this year. Our revenue that night was, or that day, the total was that was $860 approximately. So between two days in a 2-week period, there's a $1,700 swing. Those differences that we're trying to really pay attention to, I believe, will continue to make the improvements in this department. I mean, this is one area where I'm confident we're doing things down to daily changes that we believe are going to continue to make improvements there.
That indoor pool is a great resource if you use it all.
Yes,
It really is.
maybe, but last month, December's numbers, the payroll, one indoor was $69 an hour. I don't get it. Maybe somebody could sit me down in a corner one day and show me $69 an hour to lifeguard a swimming pool. And you compare that to the indoor pool at, take your pick. How about the park? Zero. Fountainhead.
There's about
Zero.
six employees.
You don't have an aquatics director that's in there that's averaged over the 12
There's about 6 employees in per hour.
6 employees.
Well, yeah, there's two lifeguards. There's 2 people in the inner office. It's Colby and the guy that sits out.
Well, you just answered my question.
There all the
It's
time.
way overstaffed.
Well, the thing is, you got to have more than one lifeguard because they have to take a break. They have to go to the bathroom. Yeah. They got to have some kind of.
You got a full-time swimming director who can walk out and watch the pool while the lifeguard goes.
Well, she's there in and out, not there. She's over at meetings over here. No, I'm serious. That's about what it is.
It may be. That's. I'll check. I don't see how. Now,
Sure, absolutely.
Just list some other things.
we check the number.
Well, basically,
I'm trying to figure out
Take
that.
payroll divided by 400. You'll come up with 69.
Right here, which I was
If
like,
you want to
just
borrow
trying
my
to figure
calculator, it's fixed to make it worse.
I know it is.
basically the huge increase here is in minimum, $30,000.
Yes. That's first thing I addressed. That's correct.
Oh, there's actually 7.
Yeah, it was on
Usually
budget,
somebody instructed
24,000 if I remember.
Yeah,
Close.
payroll or
Yeah, payroll, wages and
within
benefits.
$1,000 budget.
Forget budget. Divide that by the number of hours the pool was open. And
Well,
you'll
I
come up
can't-
with $69 an hour. Too much.
Oh.
Let me talk about payroll.
Yes.
For December.
For December, the payroll, we spent $69 an hour at wages and benefits. Just seems high to me.
You understand how the payroll works with the number of lifeguards. That's been explained, understand.
That's what he said.
Okay.
Everybody there's a pay. There's 7. I forgot the lady instructed. So there's about 7 per hour. Whenever I go, but that's going to be
Too many? Every time I go by
You
the
can't
park,
take the instructor
every time I
away.
go by the park pool, there's 12
The
people and they're all swimming. Not one of them's crossing.
park-
For seven
That's
people,
correct. Neither does the
for
fountain.
7 people, salary and benefits, it works out to about $9 an hour.
That's about right.
You're not, 7 people isn't written in a piece of paper in stone as a report. Take the
So
report.
make it 6, it's 10.
Make it 100 and they're all making $1 an hour.
That's not bad.
Divide that by the number of hours, it's so
I did. You said it was $69.
$69. That's
I'm
right.
fine, and I'm dividing 69 by the number of people that are on staff.
And I'm firing all but one of them, the white
Well,
card.
that, okay.
You can't.
All right.
It's federal law.
You gotta have somebody at the gate that's.
Not
the
federal
little discussion
law.
we're
It is
having.
laws as to the number in the
This
pool.
is
You
a
have
If
to
you're
have
a public
licensing.
pool,
We
you're
are public.
then let's think about changing that, saving some money.
Well, that's a whole different topic. Right now, we're following the law.
Now, yes, some,
Sheriff, you're right. You gotta have people.
you don't need to have
Alright.
7 people in the building.
Are we done operations on aquatics?
Yeah,
Hope so.
Okay.
So,
Capital expenditures.
Yes. Can I ask a question?
please.
It's curiosity, as far as aquatics is concerned. What are we going to do with the what do they call that? Splash and play, splash and
Splash pad.
splash and
Yeah.
flash, flash. What is that? What are we going to do?
Splash
with that?
pad.
Yeah. What are we
Splash
going to
pad,
leave
yeah.
that? I mean, it was. I don't think it was a big success, but
It's huge.
Yeah, the splash pad's a good thing.
Oh, it's a good
The actual, the workmanship that's there is not so. So
That's-
we're looking at our strategy now.
Remember
to
that
correct
tour
it.
we took, Jack?
Jack, it's very popular with kids.
that's what I'm
Yeah,
hearing.
yeah, it's very popular. But
That's not what
Bob
I'm
is-
being. What's being fed back to me is kids run through it 1 or 2 or 3 times. They're done. Been there,
Well,
done that.
I sat there for a long time watching kids at the
Okay.
mall.
I guess I'm gonna have to go down there and park and watch.
Don't be a peep.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm calling you
arrest
in.
you.
I'm calling
They'll
you in.
arrest you.
Just like that.
Miriam,
Well, wait a minute. I'll take Freddie Clark.
then you're the word called.
Yeah, right.
Him looking
both
like
be
that,
arrested.
I'm sure he'll go fast. Okay, I stand corrected, but that's not the truth. I
And
know.
it
Well,
was,
no,
at
actually-
the Mumfords, that pool is a zero entry reg. So we've got 2 choices.
no, I don't think your question's out of line at all. We have a splash pad, which is popular to some people. Others, the condition of it turns them off, which I clearly understood. If you remember on that tour we
Yeah,
went
that's a
on,
tour, yeah. I remember.
they showed us
There's some
before
danger to it.
construction. So the question is, reasonably, what budgetarily do we need to spend, or are we going back on the contractor, or what's the plan for getting that back up where it needs to be?
Something like that.
That's the question.
Again, you guys, it's a good question, but I can't give definitive yet. We're exploring all options.
Okay.
What our next step? We have not paid the current contractor their full amount.
Oh, okay, that's good. Well, you said that on the tour, which
I
was
did.
good.
Yes.
Which was
But we
good.
gotta remember, it's gotta be something done, I would think, between
Yes.
now and.
We'll do it before we open.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Then it's probably an issue. Okay, got it.
Let me ask, this S&R kitchen, you've got a $12,000 capital investment. Hiring a snack bar attendant, presumably to man that kitchen, for $6,800. You've got
Where are you, Dave?
oh,
Page 4, he's trying to understand the kitchen.
yeah, and then you've got in food sales, $385, got $10,000 income. So we spend $12,000, put up the kitchen. Yeah, we're got a running expense of $6,800. Whoever's going to man it.
Plus cost,
Yeah, well, the cost of food.
which is 3,000.
Yeah, 3,000.
I'm right.
So,
We're not anticipating, I know exactly where you're going. Bottom line, we're not expecting it to necessarily make money this year, first year being open. We think it can, but we were conservative with our approach with it and actually showed the loss. If you remember, years ago, it used to be open, and it was very busy at the time. I'm not sure what happened.
I can tell you,
Okay.
they started letting people bring their own food and beverage. End of snack bar.
Yeah, that's what I.
Well, it's
And
one
it
of the,
didn't make money for 2 years. And then a local builder's 2 daughters ran it for a year on a trade-off deal. Wasn't that it? How it worked? And they lost money. I don't even think we were charging them rent. So if we're going to question number 6, will we no longer allow swimmers to bring their own food and beverages to swim the racket?
we actually, for this particular year, we've talked about on several occasions, it is our intent to do both. Allow them to come in with their own and have the snack bar open for this year. That's part of why we're not showing the increase in sales to exceed the expense this year. We want to try it. We want to see what it is. That's another pool that's busy, but it's remote. It's kind of remotely located. We believe having this is going to allow us to generate revenue to support it and break even by year 2. It's not a big investment, but we think we can at least break even, and it just makes the pool experience. What's that? Say 12 plus, you got to figure to staff it 6. But the first, so it's one of the things. If you look over the 12,000 over 5 years, appreciation. So we're figuring we're able by year 2 to break it even, and it enhances the pool experience. That was the whole rationale.
I think it's a good idea. You should try it. And that's a really great facility. My kids use it all the time growing up. It's a fabulous area.
And it's getting renovated now. The pool is.
And for parties after, it could be parties for adults after hours. And you've got a kitchen area there, so there's lots of options there.
Marty?
Beach club, well, let's get rid of this bottom. We got sports court pool. That's 160 basically.
Okay.
That's all the stuff we talked about. Most of which been in the budget for at least 3 years. That's the same stuff. The beach club pool deck expansion. I'm not sure I understand.
Yeah. Are we off the swim rack?
Yeah, it's been in the budget.
No, I'm sorry. Swim and rack.
Sure.
Sport.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're into
Yeah,
the
Did we switch?
Yeah.
Was there any more questions about that?
No.
Okay.
Come on.
Beach club pool. One of we had in the budget this year to do the fence around it. Okay. If you're standing there in the parking lot and look, if you're facing the ocean, you'll notice from the right side fencing to the sidewalk, there's a huge underutilized area. So what we are recommending is to, and the reason we didn't finish the fencing, we're exploring the possibility of expanding that deck area. Okay, so if anyone uses it, well, you know how tight it is, and knowing that was the most highest utilized pool, people going through it, we believe expanding the deck area is going to allow more people to come and use the pool and eat food, drinks at the facility. So we think expanding is going to make it a better experience, give you more decking area to sit and sunbathe. So that's why we've actually requested
Today, do they let people take food into the pool there?
that. I don't think we do on that one.
And that,
The outdoor pool at the beach club?
No, I said no, sports court.
No.
no, we're talking about the beach club.
Oh, no.
Beach club.
Yeah,
Yeah, beach club.
So you're just making a bigger deck for swimmers.
And sunbathers, and that if you've ever. in the
There are a
summer,
lot. I've seen a lot of empty space.
Marty, it's a 5-day project.
No, that place is full.
No, seriously. It says it's a 5-day project.
What are you talking
So, right there, unless I'm reading the wrong thing, expand deck at Beach Club. And it says
It's
estimated time from start to
$100,000.
finish. It says 5 days. So I'm assuming we're talking about deck. I'm just.
That's it.
Well, some type. Well, here's what we don't know. The reason we have the $100,000, we're going to do it economically as well as sound, whatever that means. The city, we're going through the requirements right now on what the city's going to require to expand the deck. We don't know with it being on that side, on the ocean side there, what the current requirements are. Eddie fortunately talked to someone who installed a deck recently, and don't ask me the name of the person because I don't know. He's just making some calls. Someone in town had to replace one. They had to put pilings down. So I said, well, let's take worst case, put it in, and then decide if the board even thinks it's a good idea. But let's get the worst case scenario from the budget from the budget. We're still trying to figure out what the total cost. So this is worst case. If you had to put pilings down, and I don't know why you'd have to have.
Pilings would run it up that high. Pilings would-
And that's
Probably
fine.
a field killer.
I don't know. Whatever the requirement is that the city's going to require is my only concern. But what we want to do is basically just expand the seating capacity around that. It gets packed. On the good days, you cannot get, it's mobbed.
There.
It is.
Dangerous.
Every weekend when sun gets packed. We think we can get more use out of that area because that's that space to us. And we're already expanding the fence anyway.
You said the fence was in last year's budget.
Yeah, we, right?
I didn't see it because it was in the aquatic.
Was it last year? It might have been the year before, Mark. My fault.
Swimming. Roy has put them in for 3 years.
That's it. It's a carrot. No, but so what we looked at, we also had a little bit of a delay at the beginning of the season with the city, with the fencing,
Gotcha.
whatever. So we got through that.
Okay, anything else on aquatics?
What is a cat controller? Is that a dog?
It is German Shepherd. No, catalytic converter inside the pump house. It's a cat.
Or do you
Chemical control.
Or you're a stitch.
Ah!
Yeah.
One of
What would you guys do without me?
we'd be
Probably
gone.
already be home, yeah.
Yeah, we go.
I'd be back in
It's all back to outside somewhere.
I'm not touching now.
Are we at golf ops now or not? Oh, yes.
I think so.
Number 18. Bill's done. Oops.
Somebody wake Bill up. He just dropped his.
That boat.
I think I asked this question before, and I think, Dave, if I'm correct, you told me the answer. So I just want to be sure I'm on the same page with you. In the event this budget is passed, as it's shown here, and a different person or company is responsible for our golf operations, what do we do with this budget? I think you told me they're just going to have to live with the budget that's here. Is that still accurate?
That's what happened with Casper. It's exactly what happened with Casper. Now, you can't predict what it will happen with the next contract. I bet it's a good assumption.
With the exception of everybody else that's on the horizon, anywhere near this number.
They're much lower. Yeah, they lose a lot more.
Yeah. Well, wait a minute. This is a projection. I don't want to remind you how close
Well,
Casper's
you-
been.
Don't have
230%, 235%, 117%.
That's another. Okay,
I'm just asking the question. I want to be sure I
no,
understood
that's
from
that's
Dave his
that's
answer.
that's
Okay.
another aspect of it, and it very well could be that we'd have to redo the budget in this case.
Well, that was my question, Dave. Do we
Yeah.
live with this, or do we adjust this budget? Or
Well, when we were back Casper self-managing, we had a budget program. They came in with they basically took our budget, and their proposal actually contained a pro forma in it, which basically matched our budget, including the management inside of it. So it really wasn't that much of a switch, to go to the other. On the other hand, if you look at what's happening over the last 4 years, the swings have been all over the lot. I mean, just look at them. And $500,000 here, 300,000.
With half a golf course each.
Well, it doesn't matter why. I mean,
Yeah.
it
Okay.
doesn't really matter why, because they were what they were.
The net of this thing is, in this budget, when we're done and vote for it, whatever it is, any of these departments, it drives the assessment number.
Absolutely.
Once the assessment number is set, it's set. Mid-year, you can go back in and adjust a budget for the expectations at the end of the year. You can say, okay, now you're living up to this as opposed to that. You're not going to go back and redo the dues. The dues are the assessment's what it is. Yeah, you're not going to do that. So if
We're going to predict that
at the end of the day, you're going to do the best you can.
So I guess my question to the board is to feel as a board, this is a legitimate number to live, or does this number need to be adjusted to reflect it to
Regardless of who's running it.
regardless of who's running? That's my point.
And a good, because we
Very
did
good point.
we did this last year. We decided their budget, let them live with their budget. But when you say, what if somebody else comes in and they have a higher number?
I didn't.
Well, that's a good
Yeah.
scenario. The last actuals, 2000, well, let's say 2013 as an example. We accepted a budget from Casper of $160,150. Oops! It was
Marty,
$536,000.
that's not my point.
It is not your point. The world didn't come to an end. Didn't readjust the budget. Didn't have a burning in the fireplace. We just got to get along with it. Do
well,
I think 14,124 is a good number? No way. It ain't even close. I don't think the 88 projections is within $100,000 for this year.
Okay, that's my point, because this budget does drive association.
Correct.
So, as a board, what do we do? Do we leave this number, or do we adjust it? I'm asking the president.
it's a good question.
What do you do?
It's a good question, and
Excellent.
in my opinion, we can't leave it. If you don't believe it, you flat out don't believe it. And I'll agree with Marty on, without all the superlatives and without all that
You
stuff.
can't outdo him anyway, Dave.
I'm not even going to try. But I mean, I'll go around the table. Does anybody?
We've had a vote.
Say what?
Well, not on that we didn't.
Not on that.
We had a vote on the year-end number.
Year-end
We didn't
number.
vote on the
Yes,
year-end.
Well,
That's right.
we don't believe the year-end number, right? And I think we're already being proven right in that. So, but that's okay. That was for a different purpose. That vote. But the this one is next year's budget. Casper says it's 14.1 minus, which would be, I mean, incredible. And I don't, well, that's exactly the right word, incredible. As in unbelievable.
I would suggest that we wait till we get the answers that we just mailed out to people today, questions that Jack and I just sent out today to the 3 finalists. Whoops. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I got it. I can't answer that question yet. In the history of Casper, of course not. I'm sorry. It's just the truth. Operationally, they clearly have improved. No, argue that all day. They have improved. Budgetarily, they've never even been close to being what their estimates have never been close. Their performance has clearly gotten better here. So you can argue all you want. Budgetarily, they've never come close.
And the
You
golf
can't
course,
argue that.
golf course is in beautiful condition.
Yeah, it's in great condition, and they've done a great job. So, to answer your question, due to the history, I think I've got to have more information. I'd love to hear back from the 3 finalists that we've got, again, in the RFP process, before we look at this number. And do anything with it.
If we had 100 grand, which would certainly make me feel more comfortable, you're talking $12.
Yeah. That's
I'm
true.
not one to normally bring it down to $12,
That's true.
but to quote Dennis, that's only $1 a month.
That would be quoting me and Dennis both.
Let me interject another thought, and it's just we haven't up to this point asked Bob to bring in the funds. But hey, my sense is felt relatively comfortable with what we've seen.
Please don't ask for Casper. I can show you the videotape. It'll save you the time and trouble.
I don't know what he's saying. Hey, Dave, would you finish your thought of it, please?
Yeah, well, Marty sort of finished.
I did think he was talking about bringing in
Would
Casper.
you let him finish, please?
I was talking about bringing in Casper. Sorry.
I'm just trying to follow you. I'm just trying to
You're
follow
not
you.
following him, that's for
I
sure.
know. No, I mean, do we want to talk to Casper directly?
No.
No.
I think you go back to the idea that I postulated is that we need a performance guarantee. Whoever wins it, whoever comes through with it, if we finish with this number as the budget, we have to say you have to hit within
Okay.
$100,000 of that, or else this.
That's why I'm saying wait for the RFP response.
That's right.
It's too wrapped up.
Now, I made a
That's my
suggestion,
Yes.
Cab 19, Beach Club. We can beat this horse to death. It's not a hit, other than, unless you want to look at capital. I
Sorry,
see-
guys, I have to go.
I see no drainage. Bob, did you have a plan on drainage?
Where are you going?
He has to.
He has
He has a meeting.
He has things to do, places to go.
You can't leave.
Yes, I can. Watch me.
Well, then I want to leave.
Watch me.
Well, that would even up the number, so it'd just be, we'd have an odd number.
See ya.
You can't do
I'll see you tomorrow morning, guys.
Okay.
You can bring me up to
You
speed.
can't do this.
Well, I'm going to suggest that
See you later, Tom.
we
See
go
ya.
through the tabs for Beach Club and
What happened to capital and golf?
Let's move on.
Capital on Golf.
Capital and golf?
Oh, sorry. Thought you said Casper was on.
No.
I got Casper on mine, man. Just move
You're a
on.
Casper lover, that's what you are.
My question is to Bob,
Yes, sir.
there's no golf drainage.
Correct.
What is the plan?
There isn't a plan right now. My goal was to make money, and I felt that we're making that progress. Board feels it wasn't moving in a direction, at least at this point, so we're looking at some other options. So that's really where we are right now.
I don't know.
I
I just said.
I don't know. I don't
Sorry.
either.
No.
Golf drainage
The
has
goal-
nothing to do with operation.
No, for me it does because I have not included golf drainage the last couple of years, except with the exception of 11, 12, and Hingham Lane. We said
When we borrow.
let's stabilize here. Let's get our revenues up before we do any more major changes to the course. And that's where I am right now. Board can say no, we want to do drainage or whatever.
No, I'm just trying
Yeah,
to
so
understand.
that's why I meant. That's why from the operation.
It was, in my mind, a program we were doing every other year or
Every year.
Yeah.
It was every year.
Every year.
It was every year, wasn't it?
Yes.
And then it was every other year, and then the last time we did it, we borrowed it because I'm guessing nobody had the guts to ask for $35 in assessment.
Well, the golf drainage is, we're talking about capital expense out of dedicated. That's
Correct.
Which is, has a balance of
In a
minus
deficit.
$600,000. Let's go borrow some money from that guy.
96,000,
600,000.
600,000 negative balance.
And deficit.
Yeah,
Correct.
They don't want to know, how come these restrooms cost less?
Is that
619.
depreciation?
No, that's money we spent.
Oh, that's a loan. That's the loan.
Yeah, 667,000.
That's
We're
internal.
paying back at almost 28,000
I mean,
a year.
it's kind of another issue from golf ops. I mean, the impact of doing a drainage program on ops is not nothing, but it's also something that we've been doing all along without having any. I mean, you couldn't pinpoint and say, "Wow, we lost money operationally because we did this drainage on these holes." I mean, we had the substitute hole. The substitute hole worked. You got the outside play in. And, if there was a negative impact, I didn't hear it from anybody. But there might have been.
No, but we also, one of the considerations was the deficit was accumulating. So we held fast and we're paying it off at $28,000 a year. It's not a whole lot, but at least we're trying to go in the other way because we built up a at least as of right now, $667,000 negative balance.
Yes, that's because we neglected about 4 years ago to put money in to the out of our assessments into the Gulf Drainage Reserve.
Gotcha.
Something we had been doing every year. We took money and we put it in the Gulf Drainage Reserve. We spent money, took money, put it in every year since Stan Stakerski, whoever that was back there.
You do
And
understand why
then
they
we
stopped,
stopped
right?
doing that.
Understand why?
Well,
Because you had people out here that were saying, turn it into a garden.
no, that wasn't.
Yes, that's it.
That's
It
not
is the reason. Why do you think they borrowed the money rather than
Well,
asking
Bob provided a reason. I wasn't exact full explanation, but Bob said, "Well, we have a new golf manager in here. Why don't we wait a year and ask them whether or not they think the drainage program
That's
will
what
work?"
started. That's right.
My memory okay?
That's
Yes,
right.
you're right on
Spot
the
Good. Okay.
Yep.
And I said, my memory's still being okay, is that's a good idea, Bob. But let's put the money in anyway because in case they say it's a good idea. Well, we never put the money in again. Borrowed it, was trying to pay it back, and so we're in the hole, don't have a golf drainage. And that's the fact.
Okay.
Okay, now, if we want to start it again, then we have to figure out how we're going to pay for it. And if you're going to do it, and I think it's incredible that you wouldn't do it, I mean, given the amount of investment we've already put in it, then you have to take the money out of the assessments and put it in the Gulf Drainage Reserve and also make up for that money. And then
Can you give me a number? What number? This is before I was on the board. What kind of money are we talking about?
230 to 350 a year. Am I right, Mark? Something like
I
that?
think personally.
So how much?
No, it was a lot. It was a lot.
Let me help with the same thing that you're asking, but the first question is, do we need it? I think we all agree. I mean, we can walk out of this ninth hole right now and answer the obvious.
But we need it in other areas of the community as well.
I'm talking golf. I'm not
I'm
talking
sorry. I just want to make
any
sure.
other drainage.
Okay.
I mean, I know we've always tried to take the sting out of golf dollars by saying, "Oh, the effects are." I got no problem with that. I'm talking golf.
What was the
drainage.
number? 200, 250?
Do we know or have a dollar estimate for and what two holes would be next? I don't know that.
I think most golfers could pay
8 and 9 is what
8
I
and 9?
believe.
8 or 9.
8 and 9. And
We
you-
skipped 8 and 9 because 11 and 12 we felt were worse conditions,
Agreed.
so we jumped to those.
now, do we have any estimate anywhere to do that work? Donald's or anywhere?
No, sir. I think where we at what?
Yes, that's
302 holes, right?
300?
Oh, your CPI or something, whatever they call it.
For 2. Yeah, for 2. That sounds right. Dave, does that make sense?
350.
350 for
For
2.
2 holes.
For the sake of
That's
the
close.
swag, that's a
Yeah.
good.
That's
That's what it says.
Okay.
so. Yeah, we are. And, we have greens, but not fairways. You have to address these issues. My gut feeling is that they're long term. They have something. We'll just see that. I mean,
No question.
Bob says, well, yeah. I think he said that, yeah, that's not what we got. I think
He was right about that.
actually, sure, we do have a thing know how long this holds up. You know, Casper's done a good job by, you know, keeping these in shape, and as well as they can. But they're mud holes. I mean, they have drainage problems.
Just for the board's thinking, if we added $100,000 of budget under operations and $350,000 in golf drainage, not any extra reduction to the current 600 negative, it would be a $53 assessment for every property owner. To me, it ain't damning.
It's not.
Or a reallocation
Of
5-year plan. $130
There is
assessment
no.
per individual.
You know, you can't reallocate what you don't have. We don't have any
Yeah,
money in the 5-year plan. I mean,
If you recall, and this was one of Mark's questions they sent to me, if you recall in the referendum material, when the yacht club was approved, one of the questions and answers of how are we paying for the
Right.
club, one of them was
Right.
through the 5-year
Five-year plan. So that means we're stuck to what, 17, 18?
18.
Yeah, 17, 18.
Sure. What? Sure we are.
yacht club bills will all be paid for, I would think, by April 30th this year.
Well, we're paying ourselves back.
Yeah, we borrowed from ourselves to spend that money.
From what? From our reserves.
Reserves.
With the
A reserve
agreement
is a
that we-
reserve is a reserve is a reserve.
Well, now we're getting back to the reserve stuff.
Yes, indeed.
Well,
It's a vicious circle.
If, I think what you're saying is pay for it out of existing reserves.
Yeah, out
Okay,
of
if-
existing cash flow,
If
yeah.
we wrote a check out of existing reserves for $350 and dropped the 5-year plan this year,
No, I'm not saying
just
drop it.
please
I'm just
listen to
saying
me, let me finish, because this is what I'm saying.
Okay, well, don't.
We are at a reserve balance based on this budget at the end of this year of $3,500,000, which would make it the third highest year in the last 10. If we don't collect the $1 million 5-year plan,
But we need a reserve.
yes, we do. If we don't collect the 5-year plan, and if we write a $350,000 check for that drainage, we still have $3,500,000 in the bank.
But we need a reserve.
Yes, we need a reserve study.
Because that validates it, Marty.
Why are you,
I'm
why
not-
are you
I'm not
debating this with
arguing
me? It was my motion that was
not
passed to
arguing
get a
with your
reserve study.
point, not arguing with your point or your explanation, but it's got to be validated. And you even have brought up the subject that we need a reserve study to validate.
Absolutely, we need a reserve study.
I want to
And then
comment.
somebody may come back and say, oh, no, you need a reserve study may come back and say, oh, no, you should maintain the balance of $5 million.
It might.
For whatever reason.
okay, guys, let Sharon get a word in.
Thank you,
Right.
Dave. I appreciate that.
Excuse
Thank
me,
you.
Sharon, I'm sorry.
That's all right. The purpose of the 5-year plan, as I understand, was not to just run it. It was to put money aside for future needs of capital improvements, major capital improvements. For example, this building we're in here,
Yeah.
the
Building
beach club,
replacements.
something
Building
like that. So to stop that money being put aside that's already in our association fee, to stop that from going in there for the future expansion of these facilities, I would definitely be against it. Stop.
I understand.
That means our votes will cancel each other out. I'm not
Well,
for
Marty,
collecting money.
you
on
ever
behalf
let
of-
me finish, please?
Okay, come on.
Sure, go ahead.
But Sharon,
No, let Sharon-
I would say.
No, Jack, that means let Sharon finish, not let you.
Oh.
Thank you. Okay, all I was trying to say is I think that plan is put in place and it's a valid plan, and that money is dedicated toward paying off what we put back into the reserve for the yacht club. And it runs to 2018.
That's,
So I don't think we can
That's
touch
good.
that money. We have dedicated that. That's how we did the vote with our public and the membership, and that's when they voted for that. Now, in the future, is there going to be other things that have to be done? Hell yes, there is. This building's one. There's several things that are going to have to be done. I think that was a very smart thing by the board that was in then, and I was on the board. They did a good job planning the future. Now, the reserve is a different story. And I think you're right. I think we talked about new reserve fund study. Let's do it. But do not touch that 5 year. And I know that Dennis wants to say something too,
Dennis
but that's for you. to-
Let Dennis say something.
I just added up last day, which cost one, needed to add 300,000 drainage, 300,000 road, that's the other, that's 700,000.
Call.
That's $80 a house.
Minus the 5-year plan. It's a reduction.
That's just for 3 items, not the other
Right.
items.
There is nothing in the 5-year
Oh, I
plan.
see, yes.
But we
There's
did,
nothing in it.
just with the understanding, and again, it have to go back and look at the referendum material.
No,
We
commitments.
made a commitment to our membership,
That's right.
and the membership agreed or voted in a large way to approve the project based on that commitment. For us to consider changing that direction right now, maybe in 2018 when it's paid for and we've met that commitment, it would be reasonable. But I think I'm an association member. It would upset me to think a board voted to do something. We built the facility. Now we're changing the funding strategy that I voted to. I think that's bad.
So many other
Wait,
things.
wait. We told them that the building was going to make money. We told them it was going to cost $4.3. I'm not worried about making a mistake, reducing their assessment. Real quick, last comment. Everybody keeps saying it, and it doesn't ring a bell. 5-year funding plan. You're talking about year 7.
Marty, that was
I
the
was
name
there.
of
I'm
it.
telling you, it's a 5-year funding plan.
It didn't mean it stopped 5
I
years.
moved
That
it
was
to
the
change it to
name
seven.
of it.
It meant exactly that. That's what Pete
We have
Gadside
not
told us on. I'll show
increased
you on
it
video.
anymore since then. No, Marty, that is not correct.
I was there too. Whatever. Doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
If you don't have anything to spend the money on, why are you?
Look.
That was your last word.
The issue,
I have one last word for you.
the issue is,
Oh, go get shit.
the issue is in fact that, so many things have happened over the last 4 years, including the budget. Going back to the 5-year plan, which was pretty tenuous to begin with, since we really didn't have a plan for how we were going to spend. We had a plan for how we were going to collect it. And if you want to look at some of the early documents, I've got them. They're laughable. They're laughable now. They weren't laughable then. You had a plan for how to spend it, or how to collect it, but not how to spend it. And plan for how to, the estimates that we made for the things that we wanted, like a yacht club and so forth, $3.5 million, $3 million, I don't remember. I mean, they're all blown. I mean, taking $900,000 out of a placement reserve that was never, and the money was never put into that reserve for that purpose. Our reserves, the plans that we had, the money we were collecting, I mean, that needs to be visited in detail. You have to go back to some kind of common sense thing. Common sense thing was, took money out of the assessments. We assessed the people. We said, hey, we're going to pay this much money. We're going to take the money. We're going to spend it to fix the drainage on the golf course because it impacts all of ocean ponds. It's important. And they said, okay. And we did it. We took the money out, $350,000 or whatever it was, and we put it in the drainage reserve. And then we spent it. And then the next year we took $350,000 more. And slowly but surely we did one thing after another. We stopped doing that. We started playing around with money. I'm using words loosely, Sharon, but nonetheless,
That's not loose at all.
but we started, doing things with. We said, well, we've got these reserves. We can borrow from these reserves, but these reserves weren't intended for that. They were intended from the depreciation of all the little items and everything else that were supposed to be. But no, we're going to spend them on replacing the golf greens. I mean, what about drainage? Well, we're going to borrow money for drainage. So now we've got a loan for drainage. not going to happen tonight. It's not going to happen. This budget says it. I don't seem worried about it. It's what? It's another camp. But we have to figure out how to get back on track. We have
On the golf drainage.
on the golf
Yeah.
drainage for sure. And there's other things that come along.
And Marty's made a point about road. And these are all very valid. I think there's been a lot of good things brought up in today's meeting,
I do too.
and things that we need to be concerned with here. So, Dave, I agree.
I do too. First, fast comment on playing around with money. Guys, if Cecil Bank had been just a little bit more desperate, we'd own another golf. Country Club, I sent in a questionnaire of how much has been spent on maintenance of the Country Club facility over the last 5 years, what's in this budget for next year. Was that something to pull out?
5-year total cap.
Capital spent on this building
I'm
last
going
5
capital,
years.
this is maintenance.
Well, that was 17,000, and repairs and maintenance about 69,000 over 5 years.
That's 69,000 maintenance.
Yeah.
5 years.
Including labor, or no, plus labor.
No, plus labor.
Plus land.
Yeah.
That was a couple people out. Okay.
I mean, it includes everything from the, water and sewer pumping station out front to anything went
That's
wrong.
right. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Now what about capital?
And capital is about $17,000 just to various things that have to put them up. It's not that much. And then what's in this year's budget, we have $115,000 to repair all buildings. We don't say, okay, we're going to put 10 into that one, 5 into this one, because we don't know what's going to break down where. So we've got a whole total of $150,000 building maintenance, which is the general maintenance. Probably 10.
10 to 15 here based on our 5-year.
Thanks.
Well, that maintenance question, I think something that the board hasn't included one of we sort of did, but not really.
Did we finish Beach Club?
No, we haven't even gotten to the
We haven't started Beach Club? I thought I was done.
Well, I suggest that we do Beach Club and parking, and then leave Yacht Club tomorrow. No, I don't know. I didn't hear you.
69,000. Would it be a fair guess that we have 69,000 maintenance costs plus labor? 140? I mean, double it? What do you think? Art?
Not necessarily. It depends on who did the work, whether our guys did it or that was included in the cost of the repair. It just depends on how much we do and how much an outside contractor might do.
30%? Well, I was wondering if we know that the cost was 69,000 without labor, and Art's put another twig in there by saying some of the 69 is labor, it's a contract.
Yeah, so probably maybe 15,000.
Oh, really? I would say 40.
Yeah, because a lot of the labor is contract labor, which is included in
So
the 69,000.
So add another 15.
say $90,000. Can't make a mistake.
$100,000 in total. Okay? 70 plus 87 plus 50. Good, 100.
Oh, you got 17 in there too. I had 90 plus 7.
Oh, okay.
Close.
Yeah, we're close.
Okay, are we on Beach Club yet?
Beach Club.
Let me take a 5-minute break.
Sure.
Thank you, Dave.
You might have to drink water with capsule.
I don't know.
That's how late it's getting.
You get a heart attack.
That's how you break your teeth.
Yeah.
They'll make fun of it.
Revenue fell 44 because they moved it.
I got it now, yeah. I didn't have it when I first saw it. In fact,
Just trying to help.
it's still not can we, any remaking the sheet asterisk, make a note? Because, I mean, I think on both pages, it's
That's fine. We'll do it.
a note of the fact you're taking 44,000 out of this budget for the county.
Actually, it's 48, but yeah.
Is it 58?
Out of beach parking.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
didn't know that.
and switched
I
it to
didn't know
aquatics.
We weren't here for the
Wasn't here.
budget and finance. They're
We
taking,
talked about it earlier today.
Yes, we did.
We already talked
Well, why did we take it out of here?
because of the swimming pool at Beach Club. There's
Yeah.
no income.
There's, you
I
get, you get
used
4
pool.
free passes.
21,000 plus visitors, no revenue. Because we give away the four.
Very little.
So they're saying the 4 passes conservatively are worth 48 grand.
Conservatively.
Yeah, it was
Very
way higher.
conservative.
It
It was
could be
way higher
higher
than we
than that.
actually paired it to what they be, but we said, now let's just level fish.
Transfer.
Correct.
Yeah,
What do they
And that was brought out at the budget meetings too.
reallocation.
Thank you.
Jack, right? They brought that up at budget meetings.
Yeah.
What?
That they did this at the budget
oh,
meetings.
yeah.
They did it very.
Yeah, they were quite clear about
Yeah.
it. Yeah. And it made sense. There was some discussion as to, whether or not it should be done and all that jazz. But it's logical. It's good business. Matching revenues with
especially if
expenses.
Uncle Sam knocks on our door.
Well, that's the same thing.
No capital effect at all.
The deck out there.
Well,
Full deck.
That was it.
Yeah, that was,
I put in to pave the parking lot.
yeah, again, that's sort of like the Wi-Fi at the community center. Hey, we paved the parking lot, it's still sold out.
Need a reserve stove.
You saw that improvements. There's a reason they don't clean the bathrooms at certain bars on.
Just take fire hose.
Line at the door. That's it for today, right?
That's it for today.
Okay, in light of the weather forecast, what are we going to do?
Congratulations.
I mean, there's some serious possibilities of snow.
1 to 3 inches is what
Did you ever find out in your app what it said?
It was
Just
3 to
said
6 last I had heard.
1 to 3.
And
1 to 3. Well, I heard 1
so
to
1 to 3.
1 to 3.